doing a little bit of ink work here. We're going to do some computer graphics, but we're not going to do the computer graphics on a computer. We're going to use some good old-fashioned masking fluid. So I penciled out what I was going to do here. See how we manage this. So using a I can't remember what nib this is. We're just going to draw in the figures on the computer screen here. I hadn't really thought about what to put on these screens. I've done this before, and it worked to various degrees. But I just didn't think I was going to do this. But I'm going to do this right here. I'm not using my usual fountain pen. It's got a broad point and doesn't make for crisp details, but I have this thing overloaded with the liquid mask anyway, so it's not being exactly detail oriented. If you notice that the masking fluid is a bit gray here instead of blue, the masking fluid has a certain level of ammonia in it, and the ammonia will break up the ink residue that's on the nib. You'll see here what I've done. Creating a reflection in the glass here. Put a little bit of ink in there. But this is essentially what it's going to look like. Should call this stuff a liquid rubber glove. One of the biggest issues I've noticed with working with this stuff is that once you put a line down, you don't want to have to go over it or make contact with it again because of how quickly it sets, and that any kind of, if you go over it or have to do something on top of an already established line of the liquid mask, it will pull up the other mask. And again, here I'm not looking for perfection. As long as it's relatively convincing, it should work out pretty well. For instance, here, this was not set entirely, and I just plopped my fat paw right on top of it. So just dab a little bit there. There. I'm using it's probably older than I am, a macro tube extension and a 100 millimeter f2.8 manual focus lens to make this macro. So there might be some instances where it's not exactly in focus because it creates this crazy shallow depth of field, and the camera's at a weird angle and the table's at a weird angle. So let's see, what do I want here? Make sure I close that so I don't ruin it. Where are we at? There we are. So this little project was kind of an experiment because I spend so much of my time drawing skulls and creatures and surreal stuff that I don't draw the female figure, if at all. And so, you know, if you don't do something often enough, you're not very good at it. You have to practice. So feeling that the female form was something that I was not very good at, among many things that I'm not very good at, I figured, why not? So I came up with this goofy plot of a galactic supervillain that wipes out the male side of the human race. And so you have a wacky, mad scientist type who thinks that the male genome, I suppose if you call it that, is essential to battle this galactic supervillain. And this is just as kind of a story that runs on my childhood memories of watching Mel Brooks films and British comedies. So it's designed to be somewhat comedic and amusing and exaggerated. There's some aspects of the characters themselves. These ladies, I haven't decided, are they clones? Are they robots? Are they androids? haven't gotten that far into the story. But they come across a ghost. In the shape of a skull. And it's kind of a side project. Seems a bit ornate and detailed for being a side project, but it's just a side project. Something I do on my days off when I should be finishing other more important, more pressing things. Where are we at? There we are. It's not intended to take itself seriously. And it was just going to be something I was going to do for myself. Just an excuse to draw female characters, wacky dialogue. Like so many other things, it just, you start to dwell on something, you come up with an idea, and then you ask why or how. And that you answer that question with a why or a how. And it comes into, something else. And that something else in the story that you come up with as a means to answering the why or the how. Why does the character do this? Why does the character say that? And you ask the why and the how. And that changes the direction of the story. And then the character says or does something again, and you ask why or how. And it causes the story to evolve in a way that's not expected. And you're sitting here whiling away the little details here, doing this inking. The mind wanders. The house gets quiet. The cat falls asleep. Or I put in old Star Trek episodes on repeat on the DVD player. Yes, I have a DVD player. That's all I have. And I keep it that way. And I have it on low volume on the background. Or an old movie. And the mind wanders. Where are we at? There we go. The mind wanders. And while I'm working on one project, I have another project in the back of the mind, whiling away, figuring something out, asking questions. The mind just wanders. It's like a suspended sleep dream mode. And before you know it, it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you have to get up in a few hours to go to work. And you haven't mowed your lawn like you're supposed to. Or done maintenance on the car like you're supposed to. You managed to do some house cleaning. But there's a whole laundry list of things you should be doing and you're not because you're sitting at the desk working. So I dab a little bit here just to make sure that there's no excessive residue, because you'll get a little bit like a high spot or a thick spot of the liquid masking fluid. The ink will dry, and it's dry, but it sits on top of that set bubble of liquid mask, and that ink residue can potentially smear. And it looks like pencil lines that smeared. But it doesn't erase like pencil lines do. And there we go. And then we take one of our trusty little microns that we have on standby to do a little bit of repair. The liquid mask is a strange thing, and it doesn't necessarily promote exquisite little details. It's like drawing with a rubber band. And imagine an awful lot of it's operator error or experience. Preparation. A lot of it's preparation. A lot of success and failure and a lot of things is all about preparation. I worked in my uncle's body shop and painted a few cars and know that success almost always depends on a level of proper preparation. Doesn't look half bad. Now, the glorious tedium. Someone would ask, why go through all of this work? And again, it's not the Sistine Chapel. It's not high art, whatever the hell that is. Why would you go through all of this work when AI will do it for you for free, for cheap? And I would have to say that it's because you only have one life. And of course, the person who says, why don't you use AI, would say the exact same thing. You have one life. Why would you waste your time on something like this? You could do it the snap of your fingers. You could give a prompt out and bang, it's done. And you can move on, do other things. Why would you burn up so much valuable time on this? And it's specifically because you only have one life. And if you're going to do something, devote all of your time and your energy into that. It's like the notion of doing something right the first time. Because it's a waste of time to have to redo it again and again and again. And this is, barring the need to have something as a learning experience. Because we all have learning experiences. We all screw up. And life is full of learning experiences. Otherwise, it's not life. It's AI. You only have one life, and if you're going to do something, be the best at it. Even if you're not great, even if you're not fantastic, even if you're not perfect, you did the best you could do at the time you were doing it. Life is so short, and make the absolute most of every single moment. So yeah, waste your time doing something like this. Make it hard, make it difficult, make it good. Because if you don't, everything else is just waiting for the end.